This is Geralt of Rivia. No, I actually mean it. This man is the reason why Geralt of Rivia moves and fights exactly as he does in all of the Witcher games. Maciej Kwiatkowski, a motion capture performer, action design specialist, a stuntman, and the founder of Alpha 7. A man who fights with melee weapons, shoots guns, falls, jumps, kills monsters if necessary, and who found a bit of time to talk to me about his work. We recorded this video in Maciej's studio, where many trailers you know and love were created. Here's where the Witcher 4 trailer was shot, and you'll be able to see more behind-the-scenes shots from this further on. Here, the team shot the official CGI trailer for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, but that's also where Maciej shot their own episode of Secret Level focusing on Crossfire. I had an hour-long conversation with Maciek, but unfortunately I had to trim it to something more concise, so let me take you on a journey of how Geralt's combat style came to life, the difficulties the teams faced doing the first mocaps, and we'll also get a little bit of BTS regarding that Witcher 4 reveal trailer. And we will obviously talk about mocap process every now and then. Let's get into it. Bringing Geralt of Rivia and his fighting style to life comes directly from my today's guest. So how did his journey that tied him to The Witcher for life actually begin?
Back in 2003, my journey as a stunt performer started way earlier, when I was around 14 years old. But then in 2003 I was already a stuntman. I was working as a stuntman on movie sets, in movie productions and commercials and live shows. But at that moment, I was also a huge fan of The Witcher. And when I was 14, I also read all the books, and from that moment, The Witcher became my number one. And then in 2005, when I was 20, we had this small stunt team with our stunt coordinator, who introduced us into stunt work and taught us everything. And then when we were 20, he comes to us before our training and he says, "Guys, I heard there is an audition for The Witcher game." So we were like, really? We were big Witcher fans. And we were all spending our free time recreating Witcher style and creating choreographies like stage combat in a Witcher style. We couldn't say no. So we went for the audition. They were looking for something fresh. And all of those stunt teams were presenting a classical approach to stage combat. And they were like, no, well, we were looking for something really new that wouldn't really be a copy of anything else that is on top right now in the cinema or in the video games. And then I came out with our ideas, with the style we were recreating for a time now. I was absolutely fascinated by Geralt, by his pirouettes, by his fancy sword fighting style. And they were hooked. It was like, this is it, you know? They said, we want this, show us more. And from that moment, we started the Witcher project, and that was also the beginning of my mocap journey.
You know what? Let's stick to this time for a bit. Recording Witcher 1 mocap happened 20 years ago. How was it back then, and how does it compare to today?
The beginnings were rough. In 2005, we started the conceptual work on the first Witcher game, so our first approach for the Witcher style. We went to France, to a French motion capture studio, which was really simple one. Even for those days, it was a simple system. We were using only 6 cameras. Now the studios like this one we are in right now, the Maciej studio, they have more than 50. Don't know exactly, but this is the scale, right? 6 versus 60 and more right now. 60, 70, maybe 80. We had a volume, so the space we could record in, I could be as a performer covered in markers. I could be in the space of there was a circle with 4 meters in diameter. So only a tiny circle. If I went out of this, even one marker went out of the space, the system crashed. The take was just, crashed, and we had to retake. Even at the very end, one marker went off, it was all broken. And also we had way less markers. There was just less data about the movement itself. So it was less of me, I would say. Back in the day, the systems didn't give you this opportunity to deliver 100% of your performance. The glitch of our minds at that point, that I felt like I hit the wall, I hit the wall with the creativity, because I had so many ideas in my head, but most of them got stuck at the wall of the system, of the engine. I said, no, we cannot do that. The system says this and that. and we need to fit in. Our minds were breakdancing, so how can we go with it? It was really a tough process. Then in The Witcher 2 it was way easier because the system had more possibilities, so we could just use the bases more, right? The basic cuts, which are cool looking, if you combine them in a nice sequence and nice choreography, the system was better. And in Witcher 3, it was even better and more easy for all of us. For me, at that point, I was already working on the Witcher style for 7 years. So we went through so many ideas, and the technology got better, more accurate, and giving us more freedom. We didn't have to fit in this 4-meter diameter small circle with our techniques, which we did. Gradually, it became easier and easier for all of us.
We consider Geralt's fighting style to be many things, but throughout the books and the games, one thing is certain. It's hellishly fast, it's brutal, and it's unique. So it's important to take into consideration what defines Geralt's combat and what were the inspirations.
I would always say the pirouettes and the spins and the fancy twirls. To simplify it, for me, it's just the ultimate sword fighting style, spiced with mutagens and ultra-human speed. It's supposed to be based on European fighting style because it's set in let's say, European medieval setting. But at the same time, Witchers were, when someone saw the Witcher fighting, they would say, I never saw anyone fight like that, right? So it was something more, something different. So that gives a gate for me, for all the people trying to recreate, to interpret the author's vision about the fighting style, to give it like whatever works, I would say, right? When I'm working on it, I'm trying to channel this vibe I had when I was reading the books, when I was fantasizing about it, when I was trying to picture or depict, just, imagine the scene I'm reading, and also absorbing all the pop culture I could. The Witcher books, that was the thing that happens subconsciously in my brain. Whenever I find something, I was like, okay, I'm taking this,
All these inspirations from the Witcher books, actual combat techniques, and of course movies, well, today's Geralt moveset is very characteristic, I'd say iconic even. But how close to Sapkowski's books Maciek actually is when he puts on that mocap suit to be Geralt of Rivia?
I would like to be the closest, but I cannot really stay in control all the time because there are so many factors that affect the style, which is also the biggest of them is the working on the video game. There's a certain system we need to apply, right? The rules of the game, so also the combat system, and then you need to apply to the system and try to fit in the written word, the ideas, so on, so on. But this is just a hard code thing that you cannot touch. The system that you need to fit in, right?
YouTube today is often about experts in the field reacting to movies or games depicting something, and since we can't have Geralt reacting to Maciek's Witcher combat, well, theoretically we could, I had to ask a pretty open-ended question. How realistic and sustainable is Geralt's fighting style? Can it work in real life?
The more I train, the more I get to know different styles, it becomes more complete. Let's say in Witcher 1, it was really just for the combos. We were really focusing only on delivering the combos for the video game, and the system was really basic. We had 3 styles, each of them had 4 levels of combos, and each combo had either 1, 2, 3, or 4 hits. And that was it. So not really a full system, and also basically a only system containing attacks. There's no blocks. I mean, blocks were really simple system as in video games. And that's not really a full fighting system, if you can imagine, right? The more the system became complicated and open, the more techniques and more of the real sword fighting we could introduce. You need to understand this first. The Witcher system we are working on mostly is for the Witcher game. So basically for a video game. And video game, it's an experience, but you use it with a controller. So we are really limited with your input that you can deliver to the video game. So it's really hard to deliver you fun with playing and also giving realism. And those things tend to not to come together because over-realistic games are either hard to play or just being boring. And we can see that in some examples of games trying to do that. We are not working on the realistic fighting system. It has to work in a game, for starters. First thing, work in a video game, so apply to a certain system, and then giving you a visual experience, right? So just an overall experience of being in that moment and making those moves is the priority. Then maybe it is realism at maybe some further stage. We try to push it as realistic as we can. Also, this is my private goal. It was always my private goal to make it as realistic as it can be. But now we have also this approach that we would like to give it more and more realism.
Okay, speaking of realism, I just have to ask, the flourish, the pirouettes, people often say that opening your back to the enemy is a mistake. So how is it actually?
A lot of people hate pirouettes, and the sword fighting purists, they would say, oh, when you do a pirouette, you show your back and you would get stabbed like instantly. So there is no space in realistic martial arts for pirouettes and spins. And I say that this is not true. Because even looking at UFC fights and on the real fights, you can see really good fighters delivering spinning kicks, spinning back fists, and they land really hard, knocking people down. It requires, first of all, appropriate tactics, appropriate tactical use of a certain move, so just not throwing it at first opening and then, you know, having your opponent ready, but this is just silly. So in that terms, if you analyze it like this, obviously it wouldn't work. With high risk, high reward. Right? So those are the spins. You risk more, but the reward is there. And they have a certain tactical advantage and disadvantage, but you need to know how to tactically go to them and then make use of them. Also, Witchers they're mutants, so they're way faster than regular human. That also gives them a lot of advantage over them to use techniques that may be not useful by humans.
Maciek is also working on The Witcher 4, but the only thing that we were able to talk about at this point was his work on that reveal trailer with Ciri fighting the bauk. Before we get to that though, it's important to note how Maciek's role has changed since the first Witcher games. He's no longer just a stunt performer, and people can actually benefit from his experience here.
My work evolved from being just a performer to, I would like to think, broadening the angle. So I would cover all the things that create, you know, the process. So from the early stages, from the earlier I can get involved in the process of creation of conceptual work, the better for all of us. It's better for me as well, because there were so many cases that there were some mistakes made in the early stages of the process of planning, of, let's say, creating a character, creating his way of movement, of ideas, how this character will move. But in the end, I'm the one who has to perform it, right? So if there will be some bad ideas, bad concepts, but also some ideas will just don't work in the gameplay, right? There are so many ideas that we went through in the process and didn't work, so I learned a lot. And that's the thing. I went through the process, I completed over 80 projects. Most of them were video games. So a lot of gameplays that I did. And so many ideas went out wrong. People tend to come out with the same ideas. So whenever I hear those ideas, I can just be with a good advice. Okay, guys, believe me, other people tried it, didn't work. Maybe you have a better idea, but let's revise it, let's go through it, but I can show you and maybe deliver you arguments that we shouldn't go that way. So the earlier we do that, we won't have to do it on the set, on the stage. So it's better for everyone, it's cheaper, it just makes the whole process more, optimizes the whole process. The earlier I would be maybe involved in it, I can just say which things work from my experience, from my 20 years experience, and which don't, or maybe just give my ideas. And I'm full of them, so why not use it, right?
Okay, so let's talk about that Witcher 4 reveal trailer. If you think that all of that monster combat was pure hand animation, well, it actually wasn't. But doing that trailer was not only about the monster, but also defining Ciri's Witcher movement that we saw for the first time in this context. Actually, Maciek should tell you all about it.
I'm basically designing the whole scene. If there's an action scene containing some running, fighting, explosions, so on, I'm in, right? So I start working with the director. We work on the script, or even some scripts just leave the full space there for our conceptual work. So there will be just, and now there's a fight scene. Guys, come, please, let's design a fight scene, right? And that was also what I was taking care of in the Witcher trailer. So first of all, I was the stunt coordinator. So I was coordinating the whole all stunt sequences, all action sequences. I was also a choreographer. I choreographed the action sequences. A series sword sequence, which had to be Witcher-like to the fullest, and I had so much fun with it. But also Ciri's movement, right? Having this huge experience with The Witcher games, working on it for 20 years now. There is just certain things that we came up with to be significant, to be Witcher-like, even how he walks, even how he draws his sword, how he stands with the sword, how he poses with the sword, or Ciri in the trailer. This is all important, right? And this is also my role to be there to, let's say, consultant. Witcher movement consultant. I also performed. I performed one of the villagers. I performed one of the villagers. As for human characters, and I also had the opportunity to perform the bauk. It was a bit complicated, the whole process. It was a chimera of a human, like me, human performer, and I performed bauk's moves as much as I could, because bauk, he has some human-like features. As for his body, he's way bigger for starters, but then he also has more arms. He has human-like legs, but also he doesn't have like a human foot, but has like an animal legs. So this is different, and also has more arms. So that's why we had to augment my body with a special rig. We created a special rig that recreated real scale bauk's arms and shoulders. And this rig was suspended on wires, on a special system that allowed us to move it back and forth in the volume. And also there were 3 bauk animators, so 3 people, 3 riggers responsible for each for one arm and one for his upper body. So this huge construction was connected with me, with wires, so I delivered his motion on the ground. So I moved on my 4, recreating bauk's way of moving, but his attacking arms, the piercing arms, were controlled by riggers. And they were delivering attacks for Ciri, for Nila, who was the performer. All of this was markered, and on top of it, there was a 3D rig, the bauk's model, and it worked in real time. We had it in the engine. When I saw it, I was like, damn, that really works. You know, at first, I would never go in that way. As a performer, I would say, okay, it will be hand animated, because bauk is basically hand animated. The monsters, and big monsters, and monsters that are different built than humans. And it really worked. I mean, we could see it in 3D, the big, I don't know, it's like 7 meters tall creature, moving his limbs, walking like me, and then we all moved, 4 of us, connected with the ring, it all worked.
We could end this here, but hearing that story about creating bauk for the purpose of shooting the trailer actually got me interested in other unusual things that were happening on that Plattige stage.
We had a couple projects lately that were demanding in terms of technical preparation. The names I cannot mention still, even though it was some time ago, but the development is still in process. But if you go through our social media, you can see those big and fancy structures we created, especially in this studio, because this studio, this is the biggest studio in Poland we have right now. and this is pretty awesome because we have so much space and we can run wild with our crazy ideas, and also the creators can have an opportunity to shoot it really physically here. They don't have to trick it with in animation and post-process. We can really physically shoot those crazy stunts here. So the volume is huge, but also the height of the volume is around 10 or 12 meters. And it's a lot, so we can do all the decent flights and rigging and, you know, get crazy with it. Also, we can jump from big heights, we can climb on big heights. We even prepared a special platform that was gradually falling down, that I could, starting from the top of it, I would start sliding and do the whole sliding process and then fall from it, right, and have a falling part as well. Well, the top of it was on around, I don't know, around 8 meters over there, and ended somewhere here, and I was falling from around 3-4 meters. So it was huge. It took around around half of the space of this whole place.
And I think I heard something about a horse.
Oh yes. We also had this huge opportunity to finally get a horse on stage. I mean, for so many years, we're planning on doing that for so many, well, a few projects back in the day. Even for Witcher 3, there was an idea. Creators would love to have this feature of a real sword captured, but all in all, the process was demanding. Mock-up stage for a horse was so demanding. After so many years, we were ready. I mean, we as a team, we had all prepared. We were ready for this moment, and when there was a demand, we were like, okay, say no more. Just, can we do it? Can we do it? Come on, let's do it. And so yeah, after some debates, we all agreed on doing that, and yes, we had a horse. It went fantastic.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about Maciek and see a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff of his work, then...
Well, first of all, go on my website. It's alpha7.pro. You can also follow my social media. So Instagram, it's alpha7_mocap. So join my social media. I'm posting regularly. I'm posting so many interesting stuff, you know. Some of this stuff, obviously, I cannot post while we are doing that, but after sometimes, believe me, I'm just waiting to release as much as I can of the insights, of the BTS, of the crazy stuff we are doing this. And believe me, we're working on a lot of interesting stuff right now.
Thank you to Maciej Kwiatkowski for taking the time to talk to me. Thank you to Maciej for inviting us to their volume and showing us around. You guys have been great. And thank you to everyone who got to the end of this video. I hope this was an interesting sneak peek into bringing Geralt to life. And I actually mean it. Like, look what happened when they were shooting The Witcher 3. Thank you for watching. Take care.